the reason for this class twofold is one, because you guys don't have your license yet, and they're doing a whole bunch of high-end training back there on products, so it's just going to go way over your head. So there's no reason to blow your mind out. Listen to that stuff, right? But the other reason is because our company, as I'm sure you've heard, we have a crusade, right? We have a mission to get out there and help families. And basically, it is really about saving America, right? Americans in general are being left behind by the financial services industry as a whole. And our company is one of the last companies standing that really has the power to get that out there and change people's lives, okay? So we're going to go through some statistics. Some people get a little bit overwhelmed with some of this and they start crying. Some people get super excited about it and like, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to rock this. I'm going to like bring it down and change the world. Because that is what you have the opportunity to do here, is to change the world, okay? So really, find what it is that's passionate about this for you and take it and excel with it, okay? So most Americans can't retire at 65 today, right? 28% of people over 55 have absolutely zero retirement funds, okay? That's the American dream, right? Is you reach 65, maybe 70 now, but still there comes a point when you're supposed to be able to stop working and relax and enjoy your golden years, right? And these people who don't have any savings at all, there's no hope for them, right? Unless they can make massive amounts of money, because they've got to make up for 40 years of savings, right? So we really have to get out and help these people, especially because we do have the ability to help them create a career, a business, part-time even, that can make massive amounts of money. How many jobs out there do you know that you can just walk in today at age 55 and within a year or two be making $100,000? Anybody know of one of those off the top of your head? If you do, let me know. No. So these are the average 401k balances, and just so you know, this presentation is current. You're going to see some numbers at the end, and it was from last year that this was created. So these are last year's numbers, 2017. Obviously, when they're under 25, their 401k is small, but as it gets bigger, these are people who have been putting in money all their lives, and 65 and over has about 200,000. Although 200,000, how much do you think the average person should have to live off of per year? Any ideas? Maybe 40,000 at least a year, right? So how long does that last? Not very long.
5 years.
5 years. That's the average American retires and has enough to make it 4 to 5 years. But problem, the average American today is living to 85. What are they doing for the next 15 years? They go back to Walmart and become greeters, right? Publix baggers. They're not there because they're bored. Actually, we had someone who surveyed 100 people at Walmart. You want to know how many people actually said they were there because they wanted to be, because they just wanted to do something?
Nobody.
One. There was one person that said that, they were kind of bored sitting at home. They just needed a job to occupy themselves. So 99 of them were forced into it. They had no choice. And who are they gonna hire? Are they gonna hire some young kid who, is okay with taking minimum wage? Now they're both taking minimum wage, but should the person who's 65, they've worked there all their lives, they probably have a degree in something, right? These people are educated, they're wise, they've lived a long time, and yet they're in the same position as someone who might even still be in high school working. That's sad to me. There's just supposed to be the greatest population of people, the baby boom generation, right? 800,000 new widows in 2017, and 90% of them went bankrupt because there was no one there to help them transition from where they didn't take care of their money to when they were the only one who was in charge of taking care of their money, right? This is the generation where the men took care of all the finances, right? Took care of the women, and then their husband passed away, and they don't know what to do. They've never had to manage their bank accounts, right? And if their children weren't around immediately to help them, maybe somebody else guided them wrong, or they just guessed. Who knows what happened to them? But that's a staggering amount of people that if we could have just sat down with them, we probably could have helped guide them at least to a little bit safer position, right? Mm-hmm. So this is all about getting the word out. How many people do you know have grandparents? Everybody, right? We all have grandparents. Do you think they're might be in this situation? The women almost always outlive the men. Okay? Now, luck. Right. Sorry about your luck. But it's true, and that's why the insurance companies give women better rates, because they know they're going to live longer, right? So we got to get out there. Now, luckily, as generations go down, women are starting to learn more about their finances, but as a whole, Americans in general, men and women, don't know enough about their money. Anyone read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad yet?
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time you read it?
About a month ago.
A month ago? Good. When's the last time you read it?
Last year.
Okay, read it again. It's too long ago.
A few years, yeah.
Few years, right? Last time I read it was 3 years ago. I'm reading it right now, and the first chapter blew my mind because I didn't hear the same things 3 years ago because I wasn't in this industry then. I hadn't learned all the things that I'd learned. I hadn't learned about these types of things and how detrimental financial literacy is to illiteracy to our company, right? Read that first chapter again. It's going to make you look at things differently and realize that we need to make sure that we understand the concepts he talks about in that book so that we can teach it to our clients, right? 1 out of 4 have the right amount of life insurance. Ever heard of someone goes, I got life insurance, I'm good, right? How much you got? $20,000. That's awesome. So how much debt you got? $100,000. So who's going to pay that debt for you when you pass away? Your kids, right? Your kids are going to get burdened with whatever debts you have, right? And they're going, oh, well, I just got that for the funeral. Take care of the final expenses. Really? Oh, is it a final expense policy? No, it's just life insurance. Oh, so, well, that's not actually going to pay for your funeral then. What do you mean? Well, it takes 30 to 45 days for life insurance to pay out. Do you want to wait in the hospital that long? Your body decomposing there in the morgue? Right? Who's going to pay for your funeral until the life insurance pays out? Right? So we got to address a lot of different aspects. People think I have life insurance, but do they have the right life insurance? Do they have enough life insurance? If they have $100,000 in debt, they should have $100,000. And I'm talking like a house, right? I'm not talking credit cards. A house is a massive liability, not an asset. It's a liability that's going to get put on someone else if you pass away. And if you have children, I would hate to do that to my kid. Right? My kid's only 9. How's he going to pay that? Right? And that's horrible. So make sure we're out there talking to people, making sure that they have the right amounts. If they say, I have something, say, awesome. I would love to be able to sit down and do a free audit for you. Especially if you're newer, you can use that as a training tool. Say, look, I'm just getting started in this industry. Would you be willing to let me audit your policy? For free. It doesn't cost anything, and it allows me to learn, how to compare policies and things like that. It's a really nice way to break into someone who's like, no, I'm good. Now they're just helping you, do something real quick. Cool? Average Americans only make $56,000 a year, and that's actually high compared to Fort Myers. Fort Myers is $37,000 right now is the average income. This one staggers me, though, because these are the people that we consider to be high-income earners, aren't they? These are doctors, pulmonary medicine, oncology, plastic surgery, and not one of them makes $100,000.
That's shocking.
Right? That's shocking. That, blows you away. And you know how much debt these people have? Mm-hmm. They go to 10-plus years of college to get their license to do what they do. And then they work the rest of their lives to pay off their college loans, right? And we all thought they made so much more. It's amazing. So the next time you go to the doctor, don't be sitting there going, I can't talk to him. He's probably fine. He doesn't need any money, right? He probably needs a lot more than you think because he's got $100,000 or more in college loans that he's still paying on. We have a lot of doctors who are referral agents. Doctors care about their clients, and that is one of the things that we look for in our business. People who care about people, right? And they have moral ineptitude about them. Doctors have that too. Say, hey, you know, I'm sure, you know, maybe you paid your college loan off already, but do you know any other doctors who might still be owing on their college loans right now? And he's going to laugh at you, probably. That's funny, right? And say, well, you know, we have this opportunity where we work with a lot of doctors to help them get out of their college loans. Interesting, right? Interesting way to look at that side of it. Other people with student loans, me included, although mine's almost done. Woohoo! Student loan debt, $1.4 trillion. Back in 2007, 2008, when everybody lost their jobs, they went, oh, okay, I'll go back to college. I'll get a higher education so that when the economy recovers, I can make more money. What happened when the economy supposedly recovered? All the pay scales went down, right? They all adjusted to the economy, and so now here are all these people with a new degree making less money than what they did before the recession, and they have a loan they have to pay back now. Average graduate has $37,000 in college debts, and unfortunately, our debt consolidation platform cannot help with that, right? Because it doesn't pay off school loans. But how else could we help them? Can we find them another income source, right? We have an income source that you can help other people, and at the same time, we can help you pay off your college loan. Or, the flip side of this, who has kids in here? Right? Besides me, right? Do you want your kids to have that kind of a debt? That's why I came into this company. Because they showed me a way that I could make my son not have to have that kind of debt for college, right? Because I didn't have any college savings. I paid for all 3 of my degrees. I didn't want him to have to do that. So they said, oh, look what we can do. I said, I'll take 2 of those right now, right? So he actually has 2, one from me, one from his grandmother. We're like stacking them in, right? Let me show you how you can help your child pay for college so that they don't have to become part of this statistic, and B, wow, you know, we have a program that will actually continue after college. It's a lifetime program that by the time he is 65, they'll be a millionaire if you set it up right. Do you want your kid to be a millionaire? We actually call them $1 million baby policies. That's a pretty easy sell, in my opinion. What parent does not want their kid to be a millionaire? That's the parent's ideal dream, is to elevate their child to a higher status than what they lived. And if you can show them a very cost-effective, use those words, cost-effective way that they can do that, would you be open to looking at it? Not interested, open to looking at it. No one's ever going to say, nope, I'm closed to looking at that, right? Open to looking at that. We do need more life licensed agents. You know, this kind of just shows the per capita in each area. Obviously, California, Florida, places down south where it's warm. That's more because that's where people retire to, right? We have a lot of people down here, but definitely not enough. 600,000 new agents are needed over the next 10 years. That's a lot of people, right? 60,000 people a year need to come into this industry.
And it's titled life licensed.
That's
agent.
Yeah.
That's what we're.
That's the minimum that you can do to get started to make money in our industries. You have to have a life license.
Life license. Okay.
Yeah. So you can talk to people who already have one. Although sometimes we hesitate talking to people who've already been in our industry because we have to untrain them with whatever they learned from their previous company. We've had people come in and they go, well, that's not how we did it at my company. And I'm like, well, then you can go back to your company because that's not how we do it here. You know, we do things differently on purpose because we cannot do things the same as we've done for the last 100 years. Because we're a different society now. We're a different economy. We're moving at a much different pace than we have been, right? And the millennials, oh my gosh, like if you slow down, they will bypass you so fast, right? You got to speed up in order to keep up with these young people, right? I know, I'm like, woo! So we have to do things at a faster pace. And sometimes, people who, traditional industries, they work at a slower pace. So we have to train them into working faster, move quicker. Although at the same time, we have to take millennials and teach them to slow down when they have older clients, right? Because the older clients they're going to go like, whoa, what are you talking about? He's moving so quickly, I don't even know what he said, that young pup, right? 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 But let me tell you, those older clients are the ones that you really want to sit down with, right? Those older clients are what make you qualify for Thailand really quickly, right? I got 2 of them that made those numbers, 2 policies.
Wow.
8 out of 10 Americans would change jobs if they ran into something better than whatever they're currently doing, right? They would say, well, So you just got to ask the question. And if 8 out of 10 would change jobs if they saw something better, you can say, look, I know that 8 out of 10 would do something better. Are you open to taking a look at something? I know you're going to change jobs soon anyway, right? You're looking right now, aren't you? I know you're looking. You want to make more money, but you just don't know where to go yet. So why don't you just come take a look? It doesn't affect me whether you say yes or no once you look at it, but take a look. If it's a fit, awesome. If it's not, great. Make sure you don't badger people into it. I have actually been hearing some people when someone says I'm not interested, they kind of get snarky, so what do you have that's better than this, right? Okay, don't get snarky with people because we have a system that we slow drip on people. They say no today doesn't mean no, it means not right now. Okay, so if you get snarky with them, you can't slow drip on them. You can't be nice to them. You can't build a relationship with them. You can't make them your client, and you won't get referrals from them. So be like, okay, no big deal. Who do you know that might be interested, right? Be super nice to the people who say no. Go read the book, Go for No. That's the best book in the world for our industry. It's a book called Go for No. It's 29 pages. It takes no time at all to read it. It's a great little story, and it will change your outlook on people telling you no. You'll love the word no. Okay, so this is the average American family. They're in debt, right? Meet the family. They have $3,800 sitting in their bank. They don't have any retirement accounts, and about 50% of American households and their neighbors, who are the other 50% who do, only have about $35,000 saved for retirement. They don't have any mutual funds, any stocks or bonds, so they don't have basically anything. Their house is worth $160,000, but they owe $95,000, so it's still a liability, right? They're still paying for it. And they make $43,000 a year and can't figure out how to pay off $2,200 in credit cards. What's the number one thing? You sit down with a family like this, what do you got to ask them? Do you know what a budget is? That's the number one thing. Do you work on a budget? You'll see in a few minutes, 40% of Americans do not, or 60%. So this is what I was talking about, financial industry abandoning middle-class America. Everyone knows that Edward Jones is right across our parking lot here, right? So they used to be a direct competitor with us because they were a smaller organization, and they would work with every class of Americans. Anyone who walked in their door, they would sit down with them and help them get into products. Pretty cool, right? Which is nice because I welcome competition. We dominate over them, but we welcome them, right? But unfortunately, back in June, we had the DOL laws changed, and Edward Jones now has a $125,000 minimum in order to sit down with them. That just knocked them out of the park as far as who they could help, right? Because we know from other trainings that we've had here that 95% of Americans make less than $100,000. Takes their whole entire lives to save up $100,000. So when do they get to sit down with an Edward Jones person? When they're ready to retire and they don't have any time to let that money grow, right? So it's a shame. I'm actually kind of sad that they had to do that. Lots of little mom and pops had to close their doors because they're not affiliated with a banking institution, which is another part of the laws that happened. So that really is why our company is so powerful right now. We literally are like the last front line, right? You see the battles when all the warriors are battling, and it seems like the battle's ending, and then there's that last front line that the general talks about, and he's like, this is it. If we don't do this, if we don't pull through and do this, it's worth nothing. Like, we've sacrificed all these lives, right? This is our battle. If we don't stand up and help these people, no one else will. No one will. 90% of all life insurance policies have no long-term care. Why this is so important? Florida, #1 place in America for people who are retiring, who need the most long-term care, right? Every single minute of every single day in the entire year, somebody is getting diagnosed with cancer, they're having a stroke, or having a heart attack. Every single minute of every day. So all of those people are going to need long-term care, because you don't just instantly get back up and recover from things, right? It takes time to recover from these things. Long-term care standalone policies are pretty expensive, but if they're attached as a rider to the programs that we offer, they're pennies on the dollar, right? Now, a lot of people think, oh, I'm too young. Anybody in the office heard of a young lady who had a stroke in our office? She wasn't that old. How old was she? 50? A lot of people, and I've heard of people. There was somebody in our organization that was 34 who had a heart attack.
Oh.
Right? Well, think about these things. These things happen. People get diagnosed with cancer at 18, right? Breast cancer is on the rise. Like, cancers are going rampant because of the diets that we eat here in our country, right? Which is another push that our company is starting out on. I don't know if you guys saw that webinar of them in Hawaii and stuff, and all the things they've released about the new health initiatives that we're going to start campaigning, because health and wealth have to go together. Sucks to have tons of money if you're sick all the time, right? If you got cancer, it's like, whew, this ain't going to last long, right? So we got to think about these things. Long-term care is a quick fix that we can help people with. 70% of people over age of 65 will require long-term care. They will require it. People say, oh, I'm healthy. So you're telling me you're part of that 30% that's not going to need it? You're not going to get hit in a car accident by accident and need long-term care facilities? Because it's not just sickness, right? If you get in a car accident, you need it too. I personally know somebody who's still in the hospital over a year later from a car accident. That's some long-term care, right? Burned 100% of his body, and he's still alive, still recovering. He's got 2 kids at home. We need to help people like that. And he's young. He was only 21. How detrimental is that to his life, his kid's life, the mother of his kids, right? It's a doozy. Most people are financially illiterate, and this is a generational thing that has happened for generation after generation after generation, right? They don't really teach it in schools. And I know my generation, we were taught not to talk about money. My parents they argued about it, and they didn't talk to me about it. So where does that education come from? And they say, oh, well, they teach some basic financial things in school. They teach you how to balance a checkbook. I'm sorry, that is not financial literacy, okay? You do not understand how money works. 40% of adults, like I said, actually keep a budget, so that means 60% are not. If you don't know where your money is going, your money will go somewhere and not tell you where it went. Ever heard someone, right? Have you ever, how many times have you ever heard this? And be like, man, I knew I had 20 bucks. I just don't know what I did with it. I had cash on me. I just don't know what I spent it on. I got $5 left. Where did I spend the rest of it? Right?
Yes.
If you're not tracking your money, it will disappear, right? You'd be like, man, I used that debit card a few too many times. I went back and looked at my bank account, and it's all these little tiny transactions, you know, $5 here, $2 there, $3 there, and it added up to $500 this month. Holy, right? Got to keep track of your money. You need to tell your money where you want it to go, right? But we, as a financial organization, need to have our own finances in order, right? How many people in this room have a budget?
I'm working on a budget.
Good. The rest of you, come on, right?
Yes.
We need to get with it. Okay, this is huge, and that's another reason why I want you to read Rich Dad Poor Dad right now. Immediately, go get it. Finish it this week. Don't wait to read it, because you're gonna find some things in there now that you're in this organization. You're gonna hear it differently and listen to what he's talking about, the financial literacy side, and how are we as financial professionals going to sit down across with somebody and try to guide them to a better financial future if we don't have our own house in order. Okay? So make sure, I am perfectly willing to sit down with anyone to talk about budgeting and how to get it started, but you need to be on one, you need to understand it. 70%, 76% of American families say they live paycheck to paycheck, which we all saw after Hurricane Irma. How many people were standing in food lines because they couldn't buy food, because they couldn't work, because they didn't have an emergency fund big enough to encompass the weeks that went by without work, right? Plus they had to repair their house, right? Some people spent thousands of dollars to make sure that their house didn't get more damaged than what it had gotten during the storm, right? Like myself. 50% of American families have less than 3 months worth of expenses saved. 27% have no savings at all. And actually the average American household has less than $500 set aside. $500 doesn't cut it, right? That's like, 2 flat tires. What if you got 4?